awesome time in Cambodia and really enjoyed our time in the city of Angkor, exploring all the different temple sites and the markets. We had to leave early the next morning to catch our flight, and good thing we did. You see, when we got to the checkout counter, they asked for our passports, so I gave them mine. It's all good to go, gave him my ticket. We put Nick's up there, and the person looks down and it looks back at him and says, "This is not your ticket." We were like, "What?" You see, I booked Nick and I's flights, and when I was writing his name on his ticket, I used Nick instead of Nicholas. So AirAsia thought that that was a big deal. And I was like, "Can you not see how we got there? Nicholas?" But anyway, we had talked back and forth for like 10 minutes trying to argue like, "Hey, this is definitely him. I can vouch for him. This is Nick." And they still ended up making us buy a ticket for the flight. So Nick, or should I say Nicholas, sorry, man. Also, Asia Airlines does not let you have checked bags, so we had to pay for 2 checked bags when we got there. But then we finally made it through security, we got on our flight, and there is absolutely no one on this flight. I mean, there are open seats everywhere, so I'm fuming even more at this point because we paid for a brand new ticket and there were so many seats open on the flight. I had flown with AirAsia one time prior to this, and I learned from their first flight that they don't serve water on the flight. You actually have to pay for it. So, traveler tip, AirAsia is a budget airline for a reason. Be careful when you fly with them. So we had a layover in KL, and we touched down, and we're feeling pretty defeated at this point. And Nick's like looking on Instagram or a billboard or something, and he sees a picture of the Petronas Towers in KL. And he gets this idea, hey, we should go see the Petronas Towers. Now, we only have 4 hours in this layover, so I'm thinking like there's no way we're gonna get there, but I'm always open to an adventure.
Left the airport, left the train station, now we're trying to find the Petronas Towers.
So we walk out of the airport, we're trying to use our GPS even though we have no data at all, and we're trying to get to the towers. And we walked in the wrong direction for an hour to get started.
Still in search of the towers.
So then we had to backtrack down to 3 hours now, and we start walking toward the towers. We keep walking down all these back streets trying to get there.
Towers are still over there.
And finally I'm like, hey, we just need to get a cab at this point so we can get there, get our pictures, and get back to the airport before our plane leaves. So we get in a cab, he takes us all the way to the front of the Petronas Towers.
Made it! We made it.
Thanks for everyone who supported us.
Oh my gosh.
And we get our picture. Spirits are slightly raised at this point, but now we got to get back to the airport.
Until next time, Petronas Towers.
On the way, I figure out that I don't have enough money to pay this guy. I didn't take enough out of the ATM. And our cab driver didn't speak much English, so we get all the way back to the airport and I have to tell him like, hey, look, I don't have the money for you, but it's okay, just let's go to an ATM, we'll get it out. Long story short, we ended up being able to communicate that with him. He drops us off at an ATM, we get him his money, we get to the airport with just a little bit of time to spare.
Thank you, thank you. We got to see the towers and we made it back. We haven't gotten on our flight yet, but we're almost positive we'll catch it.
We're like minutes away from missing our flight.
We have 7 minutes?
Yeah.
We have 7 minutes.
Till boarding begins.
Till boarding begins. We made it to security. We're doing great on time. All right, we made it. We're some of the last ones to board, but we made it, and we got water and muffins in hand.
We get on the plane. Yes, it's AirAsia again, so we get no water on the flight, but we do make it back to Taipei.
We've landed. I'm done with flying.
And that concludes the story of our trip to Vietnam and Cambodia.